Sounds great.
Coming up, web shop bosses and their workers to be vetted if the gambling referendum passes. Should Bahamians purchase web shop shares? The state minister for financial investments weighs in, plus thousands hit the streets to race for a cure. Good Saturday evening. I'm Bonnie Toot, and NB12 The Weekend Edition starts right now. Topping news, web shops reportedly employ more than 3,000 people. However, the head of the gaming board warns their hiring process could change if Bahamians vote in favor of regulating those illegal businesses. In the interim, Gaming Board Chairman Dr. Andre Rollins says they're preparing for a possible influx of employees to handle an expanded gaming industry. Christina McNeil reports.
If the Bahamian people vote yes to regulating and taxing web shops, Gaming Board Chairman Dr. Andre Rollins says the board will have a lot more on its plate when it comes to regulating and overseeing the local gaming industry. So, in the event of a yes vote, Rollins says government and the Gaming Board are already making preparations and reviewing applications for the hiring of additional staff.
The Gaming Board at this moment is prepared to increase its staff requirements should the referendum pass, because the number of personnel that we have now, quite frankly, would not be sufficient to deal with the additional requirements that would come with a larger scope of gaming in the country. So we are in fact taking in a number of applications from prospective employees.
But if there is a yes vote for web shops, Rollins says there will also be major changes to the way owners, operators, and employees of those establishments are vetted. Whereas web shop employees are only subject to the hiring standards of individual operators, Rollins says if the industry is regulated, web shop employees will be held to the same hiring standards as those Bahamians who currently work in casinos.
To know that those people working in the web shops are in fact persons who are of a certain caliber with respect to their criminal backgrounds. We would, of course, only have persons working who meet a specific criteria, as is the case with persons who apply for licenses to work in the Atlantis and Crystal Palace casinos. The same type of rigid requirements would also apply to those working in web shops.
Web shop operators would also be vetted before they can receive a license to ensure that they are in compliance with the Gaming Board's restrictions and standards. Earlier this week, Prime Minister Perry Christie said a no vote would present a dilemma, as those employed in the local gaming industry would either go deeper underground illegally or have to find alternate employment. Rollins tells NB12 that while government hasn't presumed that there will be a yes vote come January 28th, it is taking the steps to be prepared for a yes vote. This as government is engaged in meetings with consultants from South Africa to advise on gaming. But Rollins says the outcome of the referendum should give government an indication of whether or not the Bahamian people want to extend the rights of Bahamians when it comes to gaming.
We know that legally Bahamians cannot do what visitors to this country can do. I've said previously that while at the moment casino gambling is not on the ballot, it is my expectation that should the Bahamian public vote yes, that it is going to be impossible to prevent the further expansion of gaming for Bahamians in the future, in the near future. You won't be able to say, well, you can do this activity here and not indefinitely say that you can't do it everywhere else. I see it this way. If Bahamians say no on January 28th, they're saying that they don't necessarily want Bahamians to have the right to gamble in the Bahamas.
Rollins says he expects that casino gambling may be one of the issues Bahamians have a chance to vote on in the upcoming constitutional referendum set for later this year. Meanwhile, the advance poll for the gaming referendum is set for Monday. The referendum is set for January 28th. Reporting for NB12, I'm Christina McNeil.
Meantime, police have arrested another suspect in connection with Sunday's attempted armed robbery at Percy's Web Cafe on Cowpen Road. Superintendent Stephen Dean says officers of the Selective Enforcement Team arrested a 27-year-old man from Nassau Village shortly after 4 this morning in the St. James Road area. Just before noon Sunday, 4 men in a silver vehicle pulled up at the Web Cafe and attempted to rob an armored truck, resulting in a shootout. 2 other men are currently in police custody in connection with that incident. Speaking of web shops, there's no question tens of thousands of Bahamians patronize those businesses. But would you want to own a piece of them? The Vote Yes Bahamas Committee recently revealed plans to offer shares to the public if the gambling referendum passes. Minister of State for Financial Investments, Kalis Roll, says he supports any initial public offering that Bahamians can benefit from.
Any business that is generating a profit and the shareholders can get a return on their investment, whether it's web shop, whether it's a chicken shack, whether it's a bank, I support the opportunity for Bahamians to become owners in this economy.
The Save Our Bahamas Committee called it a ploy to generate more yes votes on referendum day. However, Vote Yes insists it is simply ensuring that a wide cross-section of Bahamians benefit from this profitable industry. While it's important for those businesses to be profitable, Roll was quick to point out it's more important for them to be legal.
Any opportunities that are legitimate opportunities. And if the business is a legitimate business and it's legal, certainly. Any opportunity should be evaluated on its merits. And I can't speak specifically to this one because I haven't seen the business plan and the model for an IPO. So I can't speak specifically to that.
Former Free National Movement Cabinet Minister Shivargo Lang is firing back at Prime Minister Perry Christie, who on Wednesday accused the FNM of shamelessly trying to exploit the gambling referendum for political advantage. Christie said opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis was horrendously mistaken when he claimed that government is pushing a yes vote. Minnis's comment was based on the Prime Minister's assertion that a no vote would result in job losses. Lang came to his party leader's defense, saying Christie's claim that he has no horse in the race is offensive.
For a Prime Minister to say he has no horse in the race and act as if he's actually riding the horse in the race is to me a great offense. It is the height of deception. And he ought not to pretend that Bahamians are so gullible and so naive. He absolutely has a horse in the race. He wants a yes vote, and he said as much. He said a no vote is disastrous, which means the only vote he could want is a yes vote.
Lang agreed that the referendum has become political, but says it has nothing to do with the opposition leader's comments.
So all this talk about politicizing, this hasn't been politicized because of the opposition leader. This has been politicized because Mr. Christie and his administration seem to have dues to pay, and they are acting like people who are paying dues. And to me, that's unfortunate.
It was a pretty early morning for the more than 2,000 participants of today's Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure. Event organizers say the race was a success, attracting about 1,000 more participants than it did 2 years ago. Director of Marathon Bahamas, Charlotte Smith, says this year the support for breast cancer awareness was overwhelming, with a number of participants choosing to run as part of a group. Representatives from Susan G. Komen say the event seems to be growing on an annual basis.
You know what? There's no comparison. I can say it has been phenomenal. We don't have the final numbers in yet. I'm not aware of them yet, but we have over 1,000 more participants this year than we did last year. We exceeded, every line item that we put in terms of participation has been exceeded. And so we're just thrilled that the community has continued to support this event and to support breast cancer awareness and our breast cancer survivors. This morning, we were really all about celebrating those women and men who have survived breast cancer, and we also remember those who have not, and we want to celebrate not only them but also their families, because we know if a woman or a man is impacted fight breast cancer. It's not just them, it's the entire family and their friends. And so we really want to highlight those women. And we have planned a very special ceremony for them. We also have a very special survivors tent where we have a beautiful breakfast, and it's beautifully decorated, I think, as well. And we're very pleased this year that we are offering massages and nail services to our survivors.
Komen has been funding research, screening, education, and treatment for over 30 years, and we're excited that in the past 3 years we've come to the Bahamas and have really noticed that women here have a more aggressive type of breast cancer. They often get it earlier. There are genetic components to that. And so we really feel that it's important that we are here and representing awareness, education, and also funding research and community work so that women can survive this disease.
But for the dozens of cancer survivors who participated this morning, crossing the finish line was a symbol of how far they've come since battling the disease that claims thousands of lives each year.
It is a blessing to be here walking with this beautiful morning. I feel great because that tell us that we have people behind us who want to fight this cancer.
This is the third year that they've had this event, and I've participated every year. And I also do the walk in Miami and Washington every year. And for me as a survivor, it's a good thing because it says that I'm alive, I'm able to walk, I'm able to move, and I've beaten cancer. So it's a really good thing. And I brought my buddy here, and she's walking in honor of her sister, Cindy Smith. She passed away from breast cancer earlier this year. So we decided that we would do this with the wigs and everything else this year, just in celebration, because breast cancer is a very difficult thing, and there's a lot of women out there suffering. So we just wanted to show women that, okay, hey, you can survive breast cancer regardless of the stage, regardless of what you go through.
It's just such a privilege to be able to walk, to share with everybody. There's a wonderful spirit, and as you know, togetherness is the way we conquer everything, by working together, and this is a symbol of that. I'm a prostate cancer survivor. This is my first time walking in this Susan G. Komen walk, or Race for the Cure, and it was a very invigorating experience, a thrilling experience, and it just reminds us and humbles us that we need each other and we need to work together.
The annual event is part of the Sunshine Insurance Race Weekend. 100% of the money raised by the Race for the Cure remains in the Bahamas to fund breast cancer and women's health programs. Live coverage of Marathon Bahamas 2013 begins at 6 tomorrow morning right here on Cable 12.